It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi, and as always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Dr. Obiajilu Ugbo. How are you today?
You remember that one?
I remember today.
You just speak, different titles.
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So I'm very grateful to God.
Yes.
Saturday, exclusive femininity dinner.
Yay, it was nice.
Yes,
Fantastic.
it was a beautiful, intimate moment with women who were not afraid to be vulnerable. It was the highlights for me, aside from the talking that we did, was when some of them had to shed tears, when we did some exercises with them that had to go deep within. Sometimes we are very good at being on the surface. When you ask people to go deep, some people don't even know where to begin. And it was shocking to a whole lot of people that naturally you look at them and say, these people are confident. Yeah, they have confidence. There's nothing they are looking for. But then when you are asked to face your inner child, you realize that, wow, who's this person? It was an intimate moment. And we'll be having another one in October. I want to rest. I need to rest. Like, I am tired, inside out. I was sleeping, yawning all through yesterday. I couldn't even make church. My father-in-law had to call. We've been waiting for you to come to church.
All right, really. Let me come to you, Tokwe. How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I'm applying for an accelerator program. And
you're always going to one program.
This one there's going to be funding. So I was so excited that they'll train you, give you mentor, and then they'll fund. Mariah, it's like your life history, your DNA. It's not that
Did they ask you so many questions?
Like, there were so many questions. So the deadline was on Saturday night. So I did on Saturday and was able to finish. And I was so happy I finished. As I was in church, I just got a message from the coordinator. You did not answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they were not easy questions. They were technical questions. My profit margin, my customer lifestyle cycle, and it was estimated. Like, I've read about these terms, but I've never done it personally. And there was no timeline for me to quickly call accountant or call somebody to do it. So I had to start Googling and calculating by myself. I was judging it, so I went to the party. When I got home, 9 p.m., I got a message from the coordinator. I have not gotten an update from you.
For real.
I slept 1 a.m. I finished it.
Congratulations for finishing it.
If you use your money to buy this one.
I'm telling you.
I had to finish it. I thought, you're not someone that gives up. These are your identity. You have to finish it.
Yeah.
So,
hello, Mariam. Was your birthday yesterday? So what did you do?
Oh, yesterday, as usual, I was home with my family. It was such a lovely birthday. I love to spend time with family. So I had nice, healthy cake.
Really?
Yes.
Cake can be healthy.
It had to be healthy.
So it was carrot cake made from wheat. My sister-in-law makes them, nosh and nibbles. I've some. And then she got me a bouquet of flowers, which was so beautiful. My stepkids were there. They got me this lovely fabric that I'm going to make into. Spend time, we were talking. It was just such a lovely atmosphere. Catching up with family. I got gifts and I got messages from everybody. So I wanted to take it off social media. But our viewers found me out. They were like, oh, you think you can get away? I got messages saying, you think you can get away with doing this on the down low? We have found you out, So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to Arcane, that's the Association of Children's Authors. Thank you to the ladies of the environmental community. Thank you. I mean, just everyone. Thank you so very much. You all made my day special. Thank you, St. Louis Girls Association, my set. You all made my day really special. And Lifestyle with ML Community. Thank you so much.
Are you sure you're done?
I hope so. And everyone that I've missed, just know that you're my heart, and I thank you so very much.
All right, so I have to just wish again. I was at the birthday party of Mrs. Omolara Adebiyi. She's the MD of Adasmore, and she was such a glorious 50-year-old, beautiful, gorgeous. It was a fantastic party. I really enjoyed myself. We ate, we had a really good fun time.
Mr. Adebiyi was a good host. He wanted to finish us with food, kept asking, are we okay, are we okay, are we okay?
Yeah, we're really grateful. Thank you for a fantastic. And on Saturday, I was hosting. I had a very special guest in my house on Saturday. In fact, I was in the kitchen. I sent everybody out to the kitchen. I cooked Singaporean basmati rice, everything, with prawns. And who are you? What are you expecting? Who is this guest? Minnie, please. Your daddy said he's a special guest. You have to cook for this person. But I enjoyed cooking and really
hosting.
Hosting was nice. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Rise against coup, terrorism, Tinubu tells West Africa. Gencos sell cheap power to neighboring countries. Akeredolu's wife suspends 70th birthday celebrations. Gunmen kill 12, raise houses in Plateau. PSC sacks 3 cops. CBN to scrutinize First Bank shares acquisition by Otudeko. Ex-ministers get 3-month deadline to declare assets. Forex buyers trade in parallel market to avoid tax clearance rule. And 15 killed in Badagry Road accident. Okay, which story are we starting with in the nation?
The Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, has directed former ministers and ex-lawmakers and other political office holders to declare their assets within the next 3 months. So the directive, they say, is in conformity with the 1999 Constitution, which empowers the Bureau to vet the assets of public officers. And in line with the Constitution, we're told that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, have already declared their own assets. 36 governors have also followed suit. So we know that May 31st, the ex-president, Buhari, returned his asset form with a statement that he has taken no loans and he has no liability. And they are saying that the former public officers who have not who are yet to declare their assets have just 3 months to do so, and if not, they will be sanctioned according to the law. And they went ahead to list those people who are in this bracket to declare their assets. So said the president, vice president, the president of the Senate, deputy president of the Senate, the speakers and deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, all members of the legislative houses, governors and deputy governors. They also have Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice of the Supreme Court, the President and Justice of the Court of Appeal, all other judicial officers and all the staff of the Court of Law, the Attorney General of the Federation and Attorney General of each state. It also covers ministers and, you know, other people. And they're saying that the bracket with which you are, every asset that you acquire while you're in office must be declared, except you can prove otherwise.
Okay. So Gencos here, according to this report by Yusuf Ali in Abuja, in the nation, he said that Gencos are selling cheap electricity to neighboring countries at a lower cost than discos in Nigeria. The document obtained by the nation showed this report. According to the document, Gencos are also carrying out unregulated sales or secret deals to earn forex at all costs. And worse, they actually are not carrying along the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, NBED. They're the ones supposed to be actually in charge of all these international sales and agreements. So investigations showed that the breaches by the new Gencos include the violation of transfer order made pursuant to the Section 10 of the EPSRA and the NCP. So they are quite worried that they've sold about $16.92 million worth of invoices were exchanged between Gencos and international customers within Niger, Benin Republic, and Togo, outside NBED, and that is quite worrisome according to this report.
Yes, I have sad news coming from Plateau State. So the state government have killed 12 persons in coordinated attacks in 2 communities in Mongo local government of the state. They said that these people came in and just started attacking. They killed some people, many people were injured, razed houses. One of the community leader, Jerry Detem, confirmed the attack. He said that the good thing, he said that 9 bodies were found, but there's still so many bodies missing, so they're searching. 6 houses were burnt and many other properties destroyed. But also he said he commends the Operation Rainbow for their swift response. He said it was because of how they swiftly responded to the situation that it was not worse than it is. And they're also asking for government, to come to the support of our military and our security personnel so that they are better able to do their jobs and protect these communities. We also have Operation Safe Haven. The spokesperson also said that they are now in the communities, they are investigating, they are searching, and they would not even, they've moved the headquarters to these communities until peace is restored in these communities. Right. And the governor has put a 24-hour curfew in the communities as well.
I want to take the
local government.
Okay. I want to take the story on tax clearance. So there's a lot of pressure on the parallel market for forex needs because the regular market, which is the banks, are now requiring a lot of things before you can access dollars. They said the demand dropped from 280 million naira, $280 million daily to 70 to 90 million daily. And this is because for you to access the I&E window, you have to have your tax clearance if it is for individual, whether you're getting money for personal school fees, personal travel, that's PTA, or medical bills, accommodation payments. Once you are accessing for personal needs, you need to have your personal income tax. Yeah. Yes, you need to have your personal income tax, and you upload your number and your payment. Now, if you're a company, you should have your tax clearance certificate as well. So many people, because they don't want to have to go through this requirement, and because a lot of companies that you were collecting money before didn't have it, they are now going through the parallel market. I think the government should implement it in the parallel market, because the more tax, if everybody is made to pay tax, it won't be convenient for us. But let's just suffer all the suffer now, and then we create a structure that works.
But that structure is important, because there's no way in the world that they won't ask you for this documentation for you to access.
It's impossible. And currently, the parallel market is now 792, and the IE window is now 776. So we're now having that unevenness again. So if we make it same process...
No, they need to stop giving access to the Bureau d'Change. They have to find a way to lock them up and stop them.
You can't. They will still... We need to have free markets.
Yeah, we need to have free markets. But you see, it's affecting what we're trying to do.
Yes, everybody should follow the rules.
Okay, I think we have to go on a break now. When we come back, we continue with our reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, we're going to start with the punch. We'll continue with the punch. Ministerial appointment. National Assembly awaits nominees as Tinubu sends lists to DSS, EFCC, and others. Presidency, I worked against Atiku, says Fayose. Adamu, National Working Committee members on collision course over APC account audit. NDLA arrest Delta church workers, seize drugs in states. 18 Benin Republic-bound partygoers, driver, motorboy, die in Lagos crash. Immigration officer shoots protester dead in Ogun community. FG to shut online banks pestering debtors. Cost of living, more Nigerians may join Japa train as hardship worsens. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, rallies members against coup. Okay, which story are we starting with? I could start with the former governor of Ekiti State, my Baboko. Mr. Ayodele Fayose. He said he has no regrets, working 100% against Atiku Abubakar. That he worked for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu based on principle. According to him, he supported the President Tinubu of the APC because he believed in the principle that was agreed. According to him, speaking on Channels TV, and he was saying that I worked against him 100% is big, and Nigeria is bigger than APC or PDP. And even Asiwaju himself, Nigeria is bigger than Asiwaju himself. Let us call a spade a spade. I am not a man that would hide my action. If PDP doesn't want me, let them say it, and they can expel me, or they can tell me I can leave. But me, I love the PDP, even though the party has not been fair to me. I'm a principled man, so let me say to you, I never worked for PDP during the last election. I am not a liar or a pretender. I did not work for PDP, says an Ekiti man.
Honestly,
sounds exactly like them.
Yeah, so the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission said they would delist any loan application harassing customers and ask Google to permanently delete such apps from their app store. So this, they said, was in response to continued harassment and defamation being meted out on Nigerians by these digital lenders. And it's also the newest measure implemented by the federal government to protect Nigerians from the activities of these digital lenders. So earlier in the year, the FCCPC mandated loan apps to register with the government. And they said so far, only 180 apps have gotten full or conditional approval from the Commission to operate in the country. Google, on the other hand, is saying that they have recently announced that loan apps will not be allowed in their app store without regulatory approval. So government is saying they are able to trace those loan apps who default, who go about harassing customers, and they are able to get them if they are all registered. But unfortunately, most of the loan apps still find a way to use the underdog kind of platforms like WhatsApp, APK, those platforms that are below the radar, and so government cannot quickly get a hold of them. Google, on the other hand, also mentioned that they have promised that they are going to stop releasing the information and photographs of their customers in those loan apps. They're going to cut it. I think that was promised in May 31. They're going to cut them from having contact and photos of the customers as a way of protecting the customers involved.
I've got, our president has emerged the new chairman of ECOWAS at the 63rd Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of States and Government. This happened in Guinea-Bissau. They said it was a unanimous endorsement. And so he accepted. He says he's accepting the honor on behalf of Nigeria and also pledged to bear the responsibility of the office and run an all-inclusive administration. He also talked about the pattern of coup d'etat that we're seeing currently in West Africa, and he says that we need to stand firm in defense of democracy. He says that democracy still remains the best way, to lead our people. He said that the military turning its guns against civil authorities violates the principles upon which they were hired, which is to defend the sovereignty of the nation, and that we must not sit as toothless bulldogs while this happens. He also talked to different counterparts across West Africa and says that we should do everything to respect democratic institutions, ensure respect for human rights and the rule of law. And of course, we know that this is a one-year tenure, and he says in his 1 year, he will enhance engagement with other countries to ensure that there's quick return to democratic rule.
You see him sitting on his chair with confidence and pride. Yeah, I'm the new chairman. Go ahead.
I want to, Punch did the research, and they are saying there are strong indications that more Nigerians will be relocating in the Japa. Said that this was based on the recent removal of subsidy, the depreciation of the Naira, impending increase in electricity tariff, and introduction of value-added tax to diesel amid the already battered economy. So they asked a few people, and they said that a few travel agents, the national chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Travel Agents, Susan Akporai, said that they've had more people booking to relocate. A lot of people, especially Canada, have made it clear they wanted more hands, and UK is in health crisis. They want people that will come in as caregivers. They also said a lot of people are going through the route of being students. So currently, UK has, between 2015 to 2022, 128,000 people have students in the UK, contributing £1.9 billion to the UK economy. 57,000 nurses have left Nigeria, 6,000 doctors, 28,358 Nigerians between 2015 and 2021 have relocated to Canada under the Canadian permanent residency. And it is not, the indication from the travel agency association is saying it's not getting any better because many people are now leaving well-paying jobs. So one of the people that said she works with Sterling Bank as a customer representative said that even if you pay 1 million naira right now, if you look at the inflation and the cost of living, you can't get good quality life. And so she's saying she's also relocating to Canada.
Daily Sun, article hits Tinubu hard. Account for $5 billion Abacha loot. Court orders Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan Buhari governments. 14 die, 9 injured in Lagos auto crash. Seychelles bans Nigerian passport holders from tourism. Anglican primate urges support for federal government economic reforms. World Bank loan threatens $500 million investment of local meter manufacturers. Ohaneze Governor Oti Item, people mourn Ruko. And Plateau Governor imposes curfew as gunmen kill 9 raise houses in community. Okay, so let me start. So imagine your younger brother, maybe somebody 16-year younger brother, stops you from coming to his house. That's exactly what happened with Seychelles. Seychelles slapped Nigeria in the face, saying that its government has slammed the ban on Nigerian passport holders from visiting the country for holiday purposes.
What do we do?
Well, they didn't tell us exactly. This was confirmed by a Twitter user and a travel content creator who on Saturday shared a screenshot of what appeared to be a Seychelles visa application rejection email. Say, we regret to inform you that your application has been denied as per immigration regulation. For now, we are not accepting any Nigerian passport holder for holiday purposes. We wonder why. But
they should tell us.
We have done what we do.
We did not do it.
What did we do?
They should tell us.
Until we hear what
Calm down.
No, they should tell us.
They don't need to tell you anything.
No, but we need to.
We didn't need to tell you.
to know, yeah.
Is their own discretion to tell us or not. They can choose not to tell us.
Countries
Just don't
want
want
to
you, period.
see we are going there. We have beaches here.
Not part of ECOWAS that we can be commanding them. Our president is president of ECOWAS. They can't try that in ECOWAS.
We don't have a minister for foreign affairs. Probably when we have a minister,
They
we'll
will
get to
find,
engage
yeah.
them.
Okay, another story in Daily Sun.
Yes, so the manufacturers are saying that the decision of the federal government to commission the supply and installation of smart electricity meters to 11 electricity distribution companies, is causing a lot of controversy to especially indigenous manufacturers who have been given this project to get the meters. So the meter manufacturers under the auspices of the Association of Meter Manufacturers of Nigeria, AMON, said that this particular move by the government to commission foreign manufacturers to bring in already made meters was capable of sinking over 500 million investments that they had invested in Nigeria. And, they wrote a protest, they had a protest letter that was signed by the President and Secretary of AMON, Messrs. Ademola. And he's saying that this could also lead to massive job losses in the industry. And the industry currently employs over 10,000 Nigerians in direct employment and 30,000 Nigerians in indirect employment. And they said this happened from November 2022. They were given a bid to make sure that the meter, there was a project, a national mass metering program, meter all the houses in Nigeria. And so they had invested millions of naira to ramp up.
You see, this is not new.
No, so hold on. They had not, that's last year. They are still working on it. And now they are opening World Bank bid where you have access to, if you get the money, you get about 1.2 million meters distributed, foreign-made, brought in. So what will happen to the local manufacturers? How would they? And they are giving them tax waivers. Yes, you are encouraging people to come in, but then you're forgetting that you have people who are doing the work here.
Because I remember there was the time Minister Fashola had told us then when he was in charge of it. Yeah, in fact, he gave me the numbers of 4 companies, Nigerian companies, who had the task of providing these meters, but they failed it. They were unable to meet up the demand. We are complaining that we don't have meters for years. So maybe they're trying to open it up. If you guys cannot provide it, let us get people who can do it. But there are conversations.
They are setting up now. They have invested 500
This is, I'm talking about 5 years ago. This is not new. This is a long time ago.
This project was last year.
So this one is probably an intervention to that. Well, maybe that still isn't working. But the point I remember clearly, he even gave us the numbers that time.
But it's not encouraged for business.
To invest money here when policies.
But Nigerians have to complain. We don't have meter. They start people say we don't have meter. It's you that have meter that will say you wait. Guys that don't have meter will say don't wait. Please bring the foreign one. Let me get a meter and have light. So it depends on what you have. Okay.
Worrisome.
Auntie?
No, I want us to.
Okay, Vanguard very quickly. Governments of ex-presidents must account for $5 billion Abacha loots. Find a story of not taking. PIA, administrative challenges, inadequate funding, others hinder implementation, says investigation. Misconduct, PSC demotes CP to DCP, reduces ranks of 8 others.
Wow.
Interesting.
Serious.
Driver, motorboy, 16 others die in Lagos, Abuja auto crashes. Curfew as 12 die in fresh attacks on Plateau communities. Benue, death toll in Ukum local government attack hits 30 governor. Earlier, APC condemned bloodbath. Okay, which story are we talking about?
The There's an intense, that's why I wanted to quickly rush and take it. The lobbying is intense. Yes, the committees. Okay. The senators are lobbying for juicy committees. Yes. And some people feel like they are more important than others. Wow. The ranking senators that have been within the assembly prior to this time, like the oldest ranking. And then some governors feel like, we've served as governors 2 times, so that automatically should push them to go for grade A committees. So there are grades to these committees. Not all committees are not the same. So there are proper committees. They are grade A, appropriation services, downstream petroleum sector,
of course,
upstream petroleum sector, banking, insurance, and finance institution. Others include Army Defense Finance, Navy, Niger Delta Affairs, Custom, Excise, and Tariffs.
Juicy.
Foreign Affairs, Health, and Power. These are like the juicy committees, and people are lobbying to get this position. However, there are like 63 committees to be head, and on a normal day, in proper scenario, it should go to people that have ranking and have experience within those industries. But we will see how they will vote.
What is so juicy in those committees that they are all lobbying? But in the new administration, it shouldn't be like that. You know, this new administration, you think that things are different.
These are old politicians.
I don't understand.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, what's the topic of the day? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. With an update on the young girl, Mmesoma Ejikeme. The question now is asked by many Nigerians. Should JAMB forgive her after admitting to forgery of result? We heard her father, who also pleaded with JAMB to forgive his daughter. In fact, one of her biggest supporters, when the news broke, former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, said she's in support of JAMB's sanction on her. Now, what are your general thoughts on this? We also heard that Innocent has actually since withdrawn his their 3 million naira offer of scholarship to her. However, the other gentleman, Mr. Gaius, who is known, I can't remember his nickname, he had offered her a scholarship to pick any school she wanted in Canada, US, or UK. He said he still intends on supporting her all the way because he feels that she deserves a second chance. What are your thoughts on all these various factors? There are so many angles because even the winner recently was being interviewed, and Mariam was saying earlier that we've not even heard so much. We've not given enough talk time to the winner herself. So it's something we need to also discuss and see how well we can project good behavior versus bad behavior. Call us on the numbers on your screen: 081-0764-1679. 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read the tweets. All right. You know, when I think of what our president said earlier, that democracy is still the best form of government, and I always tell myself, yeah, democracy is great, but sometimes we need to customize democracy to fit who we are. And the same thing in what is justice, what is just is great. When we bring in the Nigerian factor, who we are, the kind of people we are, we're communal, we forgive, if I brought this matter to the Oba will say, okay, you messed up, you've confessed, you are sober, because of that, let me forgive you. We have that African way. It's not like the Western way where it's black and white. If you mess up, you don't care who you are, the law takes its course, and that's it. But here, we're a different kind of people. So do you think, now that she has actually accepted where she's wrong and begged for forgiveness, should JAMB withdraw their sanction against her for this? Who would like to go first?
So I would say that, one, when we had the first conversation with Dr. Fabian, the first day the day after, the spokesperson of JAMB the day after, and he mentioned what the consequences would be if she's guilty, we all said, this is so much. And then he mentioned that depending on how she approaches her response to this, if she confesses and tells everybody who supported her in doing what she did, they would reconsider. But what we got from Mesoma was a video of her saying she did not manipulate, and she was insisting. She did a video recording to perpetuate the crime. And based on that, my initial thought was, no, she should be getting there must be consequences for wrong action. That is clear. The severity of the consequences will depend on the level of repentance that is seen in the person. So how repentant was she when she was caught? No, she wasn't repentant at first. She was trying to see if she could
get away with it
by sitting in the lie. And then at a point, the evidence was overwhelming. Then she now came back. That already puts a bit of comma in being able to appeal for grace and mercy on her case. However, Maya mentioned before we came on air that there must be accomplices. I feel that the only condition for tampering the justice with mercy is if she actually mentions every other person. Because, yes, she's 19-year-old, yes, she's smart, but that video all that she's saying that she did couldn't have been done by her.
Let me add this to this before you rest on BC. You know, again, in our own country, 19-year-old is a child. Legally, 18 years is the legal age. But 19-year-old cat is still at home. Don't leave the house until 25, 30 years old in Nigeria. So we can still consider her a child. And so maybe she made a mistake. Maybe, yes, she was ill-advised. Do you think that we should consider forgiving her in this regard?
So even though we say 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, as long as you're in your father's house, you're still a child, you have passed the age of accountability. Every child from the age of 8 can be held accountable for their actions. At that age, going up, they now know what is wrong and what is right. You can now be redefining and defining for them, but they have an idea of what is wrong and what is right. And you see a child from 8 who would probably take something in the pot and hide it, because the child knows what he or she is doing is wrong. So she has passed the age of accountability. She has to face the consequences of her action. In appealing for her, she was not remorseful. She was not, there's what they call a contrite spirit. When you offend and you are caught, and it just dawns on you that, oh, I shouldn't have done this. This is not me. This is not who I am. She didn't have all of that. She was boldly, presenting, holding her ground with her full chest. She's not remorseful. If she doesn't go through this punishment, we cut short her process of learning, her process of growth, and it will meet her in the future. It will come back in the future. Any lesson you do not learn in this life is always waiting for you in the future. You must learn that lesson. So if let's say she's a child, she's this, she doesn't understand, she's from a poor home, blah, 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 we do that now. We're not helping her. We have not helped her. It will meet her in the future, and it may be so big that she may not be able to come out of it. With this one now, if she gets her punishment, whatever punishment they want to give to her, which is commensurate to what she has done, and she's able to pay the price, she will learn this lesson while she's still a young adult, she's still forming, so that she doesn't continue in that mistake, that fraudulent act as she goes further, because it will always come for her. So let's keep sentiment aside. What is bad, and that's why Nigeria is where it is today, because we always apply sentiments where we are not supposed to apply sentiment. If you have done wrong, we have forgiven you. Even the Bible will forgive you, but you still pay for the consequences of your sins. Jesus will lift it, but the consequences will still follow you because it's you that did it, right? The lifting is that you do not pay for longer than you're supposed to. You don't suffer for longer than you're supposed to, but you must pay for what you have done.
Do you want to add to this?
Yes, I will. Let me just say that there's this saying in Hausa where they say, "Horoba kisabani garang haline," meaning discipline is not murder. It's just to help to reform someone. So because, Tope and BC have spoken so well about it, and I just hope that Nigerians understand that when one person is affected, somehow we're all affected.
True.
So if this one child is not disciplined and taught to do better, she will be an example to our other children on how they should carry themselves. So it's not just about her. It's about all the other Nigerian children writing JAM today and tomorrow. How would we like them to conduct themselves? And if they were to do something wrong, would we like them to acknowledge that they have done something wrong when they are caught? So these are the lessons. It's not just about her. I know that many people were hurt. A lot of people took it to places that, you know, was really sad. Ethnicity, all sorts of things, you know, people that we respected, you know, in society to speak for truth. I would not blame them because there's this thing about you just want to make sure. But we took this conversation so much so that people were calling each other out and insulting each other. And it shows, and you know, the fragility of, you know, of this unity right now. We're coming from so much already, and this was going to attack that again. And it shows that sometimes what you do, even in the comfort of your home, how it has such a multiplier effect on the whole of your community, the whole of Nigeria. So we have learned so much. We have learned many lessons from what has happened today. I believe Mesoma has learned her lesson. I feel so sorry for the dad because he came out like a father, like any parent, believed his child had to be telling the truth, you know, and then finding out that she was not. And he had to come out humbly to ask for forgiveness. Also for us Nigerians, that we're quick to point fingers at each other and paint this picture of all these conspiracy theories. I hope we have also learned a lesson that sometimes we should wait until the facts have been put out there. That Nigerians are not looking to destroy each other or destroy an ethnicity. That's not what we're about. And if one child is doing well today, all Nigerians will be proud. And if a Nigerian child does bad and is not punished and grows up and becomes a leader somewhere and embarrasses us, the shame will be national. So thankfully, you know, we have started somewhere, and I hope that we go ahead and punish her. I don't even want to say like punish. We're not punishing her because, oh, you are such a useless case. No. We're punishing her to teach her a lesson. I also like that JAM says that they're going to give her a therapy, like analyzing her, because it takes a certain kind of child to insist in front of the world that she was right, you know. So we hope that, you know, she gets a lot, she learns from this, and Nigerians have learned from this as well.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, there's another angle, because Nigerians were insisting, especially the issue of not trusting the system. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so when we were discussing this matter last week, and some of us were convinced, actually what happened was that when the video of Ejikeme came out, you know, and she got emotional, everybody, most Nigerians, went on that emotional train with her. Those who believed initially were, no, Faith has already told us that it's not. Once she came out with that video, it was like the only tool they had. Even our producer, he was like, well, that girl cannot do this. See that girl, see. Everybody immediately swung into the emotional train. And we saw it happen when the girl with the boy that had sepsis, when they said Doing College killed him because of the bullying, right? And then we found out that, it was based on negligence of the parents who didn't take him to the hospital on time that caused it. But we went on that emotional train. The school must this. We even approached the school, wanted to bring it down. There were other cases, I can't remember, several cases where we all went on this emotional train. And the question, therefore, is that maybe we can also have a learning curve from this. Because when the government says, this is it, many Nigerians don't believe. And it's years of mistrust, distrust of government. And then now that they're trying to do the right thing, because people are saying they don't have systems. They didn't put systems. That's how they did it for Keniko, my uncle, my auntie. Everybody's like coming up with stories that they couldn't even verify of things, of what JAM had done to jam them. And JAM is saying, I have put a system in place. I have put a technology in place that cannot allow this to happen. So is how do we get to the point where we start beginning to trust our system? Or do we all just say, we don't trust it?
It's
regardless.
Trusting the system is a long journey.
Long journey.
But I think that what the first thing I'd like to say, and I've argued this extensively in church just last week, Tuesday, that popularity of an opinion does not make it a fact.
Yep.
The fact that everybody is talking about this opinion does not make that opinion become fact. And we must argue and ask and research till we get the fact of the story. Which is why I would respect Obi Ezekwesili's coming out to say, when I saw the facts, I agree that it was wrong.
But do we have to wait for an independent? So how many issues do we get an independent investigation? Because I kept saying that. Do we have to wait for an independent investigation?
That is the journey we have to go through because we have been battered and brutalized by the system. So the system cannot get our trust by fiat.
Like that,
it would come from consistently investigating. And over time we realize that, it seems like these people are now consistently getting it right, then we'll start believing them by default. Right. But for now, we might require a bit of fact-finding before we find out who is telling us the truth or not. But you see the people we need to address, people that even after they get the facts, they still say no. The Nigerian government, they will have doctored the information somewhere. Yes. So I feel that let us take the facts, especially with the story of the sepsis. I mentioned that story, and you know that they were still arguing against that. I brought out the phone, I showed them the reports. I said I spoke to the pathologist, and somebody was still arguing with me, learned, but swayed by emotions and popular opinion against facts. Let us put our emotions and focus on facts.
So, we are naturally an emotional...
Oh, sorry, let me pause you. I've been having a call. Hold in.
All right.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. I do apologize.
Yeah.
You're live. Go ahead. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, everyone in the studio.
Good morning.
You have actually contributed brilliantly. I like your contribution this morning. But I have to say 2 or 3 things. Number one is Mesoma. She's 19 years. We have a 19-year-old who is a child. We have a 19-year-old who is an adult. To me, Mesoma, she's 19-year-old. With that act, she's an adult. So she should not be considered as a child. Number 2, I want us to understand, I'm sorry I'm going to mention it, Omotola Jonade married at the age of maybe 17 to 18, and she gave birth to her first child at the age of 19 years. So that makes her an adult. The next one is Mesoma should face a consequence. Because it has actually divided this nation. I'm telling you, there are so many people that are still not agree that what Mesoma did was wrong. So if she was pardoned, people will not learn from what she has done. So she should face the consequence of her action. And this person that said he wanted to sponsor her to whatever university she wants, I don't think it's helping her. It's not really helping her because it's encouraging corruption. Right. So that is my take.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shola. Yes, sir.
So I believe we're naturally an emotional people. And so far, the emotions has kept us where we are today. We move 1 step forward, 15 steps backwards, because we're always considering, oh, my cousin's auntie, my auntie's uncle, is my people's people, is my this one, is from my tribe, is not from my tribe, and all of that. And the question is, are we tired of where we are? If we are tired of where we are, that means we must begin to open our minds to see things more objectively. But we cannot do it by ourselves because of the experiences and the precedences we've had so far. That's where the government must insist on the system and will keep proving. If they need to have 15 independent panels or committee to make an inquiry, they have to do that till we get to a point where at least 80%, not everybody will still fall in line, but at least 80% of people can say, the government has said it, or the institution has said it, and this is it. We need to get there. We need to work our way to that point. And so we should not, the systems or the government should not be tired of continually proving to us because they have messed up for a very long time. They say one person, they mess up, they come. The day when you talk true, nobody go believe you because they now know you as a liar. That's one. Secondly, the system has to model what we can follow. We have people in positions of authority whose certificates are in question. We are asking questions. Which school did you go to? Which certificate do you have? Which this one, which that one? And they're not clear. And these young children are seeing, they are observing, they are watching. If a governor can get away with this, a president can get away with this, a commissioner can get away with this, why can't I? Why don't I try? Why don't I make the moves?
Yeah.
If I escape, and a lot of people have made the moves and escaped, she was just caught. Do you understand? So it has to be holistic. While we're cleaning out the system and trying to make everything right, the people at the helms of leadership and position must be seen to be doing the right things. So that when you tell your son, do not smoke, it's because you are not smoking. Not because you want to tell him what to do. Do as I do as I say, and not as I do.
Let me take this call from Damola. Thanks for calling, Damola. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I quite support what Sokwe said, and especially the gentleman that spoke just now. You see, the problem I have in this country is that everything we call ethnic, we give it ethnic coloration. People from our ethnic side have been coming out, talking and all that. For God's sake, a 19-year-old is not a small girl. A 19-year-old that knows how to manipulate things like that. It's not a small girl. Let Jam do whatever Jam thinks is the punishment. Let Jam give her make her the punishment to her.
All right. Now, some have also argued that if Ejikeme came from a wealthy home, maybe we want to have this conversation. Maybe someone would have called somebody. You know, that's the perspective that,
she would have...
That should have gotten, I mean...
No. She would have gone to the right schools. She would have been able to read the right book. She would not get...
Children make mistakes.
Yeah.
Children commit all sorts of offenses. Children in top universities around the world have been caught committing offenses.
Yeah.
After all, we saw the American story where top celebrities were doing all sorts of things to get their children into top schools by lying. So crime can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But the difference with that story, we saw how it ended. Their parents were locked up for those offenses as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not about rich or poor. It's not about, you know, oh, things are so hard and that's why we're struggling. In fact, that's the lie we have told ourselves for so long in Nigeria, that we've given people a pass that they can say, oh, it's because I'm so poor. But we know that it's not about poverty, because there are people who are poor and who have dignity. There are people who are poor and still respect themselves. There are people who are poor and still obey the law. So it's just about criminality. And the reason why people do that is because anytime someone commits a crime, we do not want to look at the crime. We don't want to punish them for the crime. We ourselves will bring this ethnicity, will bring this state economics, socioeconomic status to try and defend it. But now, I'm happy that Jam did this. Because also for Jam, you know, the ladies were questioning why we should trust, why it has been hard to trust institutions. I'm happy that Jam has been able to do this. And tomorrow, if anything comes out, we'll listen to Jam first. You know, because they have proven beyond doubt that they are up to, you know, that they are performing above par, above board. So there's this other thing also I want to talk about, when Nigerians like to say, Nigeria will happen to you. Nigeria is happening to you. Who did we want Nigeria to happen to? We wanted it to happen to Ume Kamsi or Chukwu in Kechinyere. I have to even read her name out.
We'll talk about
that. Let me just mention her name. I just need to mention that that's the highest scorer. If we had allowed Mesoma get away with this, if we had given her a pass because of where she's from or how she's from, or things are hard for her, Nigeria would have happened to the person that deserved to get the award. That's what we're saying. So finally, we did something right. So Nigeria happened to this girl in the right way. So next time we say Nigeria happened to someone, hopefully it's because Nigeria stands up and makes sure that those that deserve it, those that earned the merit, will be acknowledged.
All right. Let me take Lolali. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right. It's beautiful to see the trajectory this case has taken. It would have been easy to advocate or solicit.
Oladele, it's not clear. It's finding it difficult to hear you. I do apologize for that. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
tuned. Your View will be right back.
Yeah, come on. Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're still discussing this matter, but I have Tolulokpe from K2. Thank you for calling, Tolulokpe. You're live.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. First time I'm having access.
First time. Welcome to the show.
Yes. I've always called, but I've never had access.
Oh.
This is the first time I'm having access.
Use it before it goes off.
Thank you very much for congratulating me. I've always watched this program, and I love the program.
Thank you.
Because of my children and my grandchildren. So I tell them a lot, but they are busy.
Thank you.
However, number one, this Mesoma of an issue. She will not have even come to the center stage of national discourse because it's so local.
Yeah.
There are so many candidates that sit for white, that fail, cancelled, withdraw, and all that. Nobody's talking about all that because one candidate something. That's number one. Number two, I think Boran mentioned something about customizing democracy. I was at the start of the discussion. I've always had that discussion everywhere, homegrown. That's how Nigeria, we bastardize things. If we want to practice democracy, let us practice democracy. If we want to practice monarchy, let us practice monarchy. If we want to practice any kind of government, but don't let us change the principles of any government that we adopt. They are set principles. We should always follow them.
Yep.
That's democracy.
Yes.
Then number three, this Mesoma of a thing. She's even dumb, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you are parading a certificate online, can't you see the age in that result?
Exactly. We don't use those words on TV, but thank you very much for calling and expressing your views. Let me go to the angle of the entrepreneur, Mr. Gaius Chibueze, a.k.a. Bitcoin Chief. He is insistent, saying that he's sponsoring Miss Joy Mmesoma Ejikeme, who was said to have forged her UTME results because he believes that she deserves a second chance. So people are saying that he shouldn't do this because he'll be sending the wrong message. Others are saying it's not his responsibility to teach moral standards. He's a personal man with his personal money, giving her the money he chooses. So why are we all about he shouldn't do it? So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think he should go ahead? And as you say, yes, it's his money, but should he, as a regular citizen, feel the need to uphold a certain standard? Or it's not his place. He can choose to give his money to anybody he chooses to.
I think, I don't know. They said to whom much is given, much is expected. If you have that much, it means that for you to get to that space where you have that much, especially if it's money you have worked for, you have a certain level of reasoning to be able to keep yourself in that place.
Yeah.
You have a certain level of, I'm looking for the word right now, but you will not see things like an ordinary person would see it. You will be able to read in between the lines. So if you say, I don't want this girl to be victimized, though now she has made a mistake, she has accepted the mistake, I'm going to first of all ensure with my money that she's put in a home that's after the punishment or aside with the punishment, in line with the punishment, she's put in a home where she's evaluated. I will pay the home, maybe the therapist, the psychologist or whatever, to give her proper evaluation, help her go through that process, help her heal from that, give her that, get back her sanity, because somebody who can do this and insist on it is having like a criminal mind. Evaluate her properly and give her that, reintegrate her back into the society. I would do that. Then afterwards, if she chooses, because she's brilliant, she chooses to go to a university, a school and all of that, I will now support her. But we're not going to abandon her because she has done this. And because when we abandon her, she may end up being worse than she is, right? I will understand. But if you keep insisting that it doesn't matter, it's my money, I'm going to take her to the best schools, you are still taking her away from the process. And if she doesn't go through that process of understanding the gravity of what she has done, even in the school you send her to, she will mess up and come back again. So I would love that his advisors would tell him how so you don't put the cart before the horse. We'll tell him how to organize. Is your money or you want to help, or we love you, we appreciate you for that, but can we do this in place before this one can finally enter? And I hope he will be humble enough to say, okay, this I believe is the best way to go about this, so that my money is used judiciously. You use it well.
Okay, I'm told we lost the caller. I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I know that there are some people who go to prisons and help hardened criminals in prisons to sort of have something else, you know, to give them some sort of succor, you know, in life. Yes, you have been locked up and you are on life, you know, sentenced for life, or you're about to be executed in a few years. But in the meantime, this is what we'll see that we'll do for you. Some people pick up, go to university and things like that. There are some people, that's their calling. They go and they meet people who have done so bad, and they say, even in your punishment, I can still help you. There are some people who do this thing to prove a point, just to prove a point. But the thing is, the responsibility, the consequences lies with you. You know, so he can go ahead to do what he thinks is best for him in regards to this situation. But whatever comes out of it, however he handles it, the consequences, the responsibility is his solely. If he does this, and in the course of giving her the money and sending her abroad, he's able to make sure she gets the right training and the right support that she needs to be better, to be able to speak the truth and study better and just be a better person, the benefits of that will come to him. If it was just to prove a political point and to show that he has money, whatever she ends up becoming or doing, it will end up being, you know, he will carry the cross. And you know, one thing with social media, we hear about everything. So I understand how people are saying, don't do it because you're sending the wrong message. I think we have already set the right message. Everyone who wants to write JAM will look to JAM and see how they handle those who do it fraudulently. And everybody who is in Nigeria right now understands how Nigerians feel about someone who would forge a result. But I also feel that there's always a place for people who have been sort of cast away by their bad behavior, and people do not want them to lose completely, you know, because, as they say, throw the baby with the bathwater. And so there's some people who are always there to say, okay, even in your punishment, I'll be there to support you.
Let me take Fumilayo from Ipaja. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Fumilayo.
Yeah. What you deserve are those who have passed through the process, suffered, taking punishment for their offense. When you are punished, it doesn't mean you are hated. That man that wants to that is not showing good example of parenting at all. Let this girl go through the process, because this will be hunter, and then you are passing the wrong message by telling the society that crime pays. Crime pays. It is when you do bad and you have some people behind these sentiments. This is their sentiment has taken the country. They are so sentimental and things. Something that is not punishment, less than the distance. It is not humiliation and it is not hatred. It means that it teaches you a lesson that this is not true. Then after that, you can be rehabilitated.
Thank you very much, Fumilayo. We have to wrap up on this. Any comments on social media before we wrap up?
Dame Ebika says the girl needs to reform her mindset, and an opportunity after repentance and lessons learned will be more beneficial. She could even use herself as case study in the future. Uchechi says, dude is a businessman, we know to sabi. I don't blame him. Kore Michael says, I honestly think there is a hard lesson God wants Mesoma to learn from this ordeal. Akani Taiwo says, no need to advise Baba Olowo Igbona. She would disgrace him and his money abroad. Money misroad people.
I was going to take a comment. Go ahead.
Jill says she needs to be taught a very good productive lesson for her own good.
Otumba Karim said that, good morning, ladies. The Girls Act is a consequence of our checkered and beleaguered situation as a people and a nation, the get rich or get fast syndrome. You also, it's shocking and disturbing to see a person of her age behaving in such a way. Most disappointing is the reactions of some people who should be circumspect at their reactions. Topo, you had the final word?
Yes, I think that beyond dealing with her case. I feel that we should also, as an the educational board of JAMB, as well as secondary schools, should take this as a conversation to be had in a more strict way with everybody so that we understand what is at stake. And for those that are still feeling like we are, what we're advocating for in terms of justice or consequences is wrong, we should look at what happens whenever any Nigerian commits a crime abroad and they ban us from coming to the country. Any good act reflects on all of us, and any bad act reflects on all of us. So we must put our best foot forward at all times.
And for Nigerian parastatals that have not yet adopted technology, this is an important tool, because obviously with technology, you're able to, it's always usually foolproof, and you can always see situations like this, that it was only technology that helped them. They have data, they could show with evidences to show what exactly happened. You can't lie, data doesn't lie, technology doesn't lie. So we're happy, and we hope, and we also let government know that it's going to take a long time for us to trust you. But as BC said, if you're going to have to do independent committee for every single, somebody stole somebody's rice and they're not sure, and government is insisting they stole the rice, don't worry, set the independent committee, put all the professors to come and find, no problem. You have to do it for now until we earn your trust. It's a sacrifice the government has to make until Nigerians can believe in them. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to our Let's Talk segment. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Join us on the show is an agric expert, African farmer, Mogaji. We'll be discussing basically how Nigeria can feed herself. You've had issues, especially recently. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. You've had issues recently because of the transition of the previous government up until now, and people are really worried about the fact that subsidy removal has caused everything to go up. I mean, now that we have a floating naira, it's up and down, resources, raw materials, farmers are scared, you know, because it's almost as if we're seeing the true value or the true pricing for many of these materials. How do you think it's going to affect the agricultural market in these recent times?
First and foremost, the subsidy removal has not affected prices yet.
Okay.
Yeah. By end of this month, you'll begin to feel it. But in August, you feel the full effect.
Yeah, so the one we're feeling now.
So what affected
because
these
they just,
prices?
you know, they've May 29, you know, they just planted. It has not had that true reflection.
Wow.
So by end of this month, stroke mid next month, that's when the effect will come up. Yeah, it's going to affect a lot of the rural people.
Okay.
More than the urban. Yes, a lot, you know, because the standard of living in the rural communities is already challenged. You know, they have to stop one child from going to school, you know, for the other. Most times, you know, they don't eat the good farm produce.
Yeah.
They sell the good and eat the low quality, you know, so it's going to affect them more. But beyond that, across board, I personally think that, you know, there will be increased taxes and co. So people who pay taxes, you know, should be taken care of. And what do I mean by that? We need to have, like the river basins, it belongs to the federal government. The equipment belongs to federal government, the land belongs to the federal government. So they need to come up with like a scheme where they produce the food and it goes to parastatals and companies who pay taxes so they can have reduced prices. So it's profitable for the farmers operating on the river basin, and people who they deduct their taxes, you know, from source can also get to buy food cheaper. You know, that way everybody will feel the effect. Okay, I'm paying higher taxes, things are going up, and that is done. But don't forget, from Bureau of Statistics also, over 56% of everybody's salaries go to buying of food purchases. So any effect that helps to reduce the price of food helps everybody.
Okay.
So are you saying now that this administration has a plan to help cushion the effects by somewhat subsidizing the food produce so that taxpayers can at least buy it cheaper? And what are...
That is an idea I put on the
that
table.
you're giving. Oh.
Yes, but what I also know from the president's speech, and I say this is the first speech since 1999 that talks about the value chain of agric. Our previous administrations have only picked, like, we want to make food available, they focus on crops. You plant corn, tomatoes, and co with fertilizer. But this is the first time we are hearing from a president in a speech talk about storage, talk about livestock. Livestock really doesn't even show up. We talk about crops, we don't talk about livestock. So for the first time, talking about the hubs, talking about rural economic development. So this is the first time we are having a robust speech talking about the value chain. And one of the reasons why we've not been able to feed ourselves is because there's not been an approach that attacks the value chain. So we are picking crops.
Yeah.
And so when we pick crops and we don't plant for livestock, then what that does is that we grow the crops, but when the livestock consume the crops, we don't have it sufficient. So from that, we know that he has consulted with some crucial stakeholders, consultants, and developmental partners for that speech to happen that way. Okay. We're only hoping for good implementation.
Right.
Governor Zulum of Borno State recently released 80 vehicles to help transport farmers from their homes to the farm and back, and as sort of a palliative. How do you think this will affect prices of produce coming from that state? Would it really do much with the prices?
In Nigeria, it's very interesting that most times we don't ask the farmers what they want.
Yes, what they need.
What they need.
We think from there's what we call lab to field. So we sit in the laboratories and the offices and think, let's give them vehicles. These people need good seeds. These people those buses are meant to move their farm products to urban centers, not to move the farmers. The farmers will want to move themselves to the farm, but they want to be sure that when we produce, everybody produces at the same time because they have produced with rain. So they want to be sure that Lagos is in need of this, Abuja is in need of this, Port Harcourt is in need of this. They would have preferred those vehicles to move those things to where they can get premium prices as against moving them. It's a good initiative, but that is not what they need. That is not what will keep them sustainable.
Okay.
So, we've spoken about some of the problems that we are anticipating. Your first sentence was shocking in that you're alluding to the fact that we haven't really felt the impact of the change, the economic changes. I sort of beg to differ because we've seen substantial hike in prices, and it was linked to the cost of fuel being taken out and the fact that the transport cost from moving things from the farm gate to the cities had gone up. But my question would be, what would you advise is the best approach from the government to reduce the cost of food? I know the US does a buy. They buy and store and release to the market. They created a vehicle for that. Do you believe that approach would work here and it won't get corrupted in our usual style? How do you think within our local way we can bridge that gap to ensure farmers get good value and we that were consuming are not paying excessively for what is being produced?
Well, first thing, for us to be able to achieve that, we need to focus on the industries. Why should we focus on the industries? The mistakes previous administrations have been making is they focus on the people, not the industry. Ideally, it's good.
Yeah.
But when you focus on the people and you don't pay attention to what the industries will require, then the industries have more money, like corn now. They would buy the corn at whatever price, and so the people will eventually starve. But when you focus on the industries, you are able to produce for the industries, maintain the system, ensure that there's sustainability, then the people, you will produce excess for the people. But when you focus on the people, you leave the industries. And even beyond the industries, West Africa will also come to buy. So when we focus on industries, we're able to export and we're able to produce more than enough. So it's crucial we do that. But ultimately is we need to eat local. Until we begin to eat local,
Singaporean rice.
then that way we will not be able to sustain it. So when I mean eat local is eat dundu, offer akara and ogi to foreigners that come to meet the president and the governor. So until we begin, give them our corn. Give them, when you hear dundu and you hear yamavita, or what's that? Yamarita. Yamarita is dundu, just put in flour and egg. So we need to begin to do this. The more we do this internally, the more these things grow. Until we begin to grow it, that demand will not be there. But government cannot do a lot now because the government is in debt.
Yes.
The government is in debt. Government just needs to put together programs, seminars, trainings. The parastatals need to let people know what is available where and how to take advantage of it. See, Nigeria is not food secure, not because of what we don't have, but what we are not doing with what we have. We have dams, we have lands, we have everything required, but we focus on the money we don't have, forgetting that there are many people who have the resources locally who can get involved. The government is just supposed to create platforms. That is what is missing. Then the government also does not work together. Now, I boldly will say this, and I start to be corrected. The Ministry of Agriculture can never feed Nigeria. And I'm saying can never feed Nigeria.
Let me pause you for a second, because I would like you to respond. Let me take this call. Good morning. Thanks for calling. I'll come back to that. Oladele, thanks for calling. You're live. Hello, Oladele, you're live. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Auntie Mara, good morning.
Morning.
This is Oladipo.
Oladipo, go ahead, please.
Yes, please, I want to go back to this Muslim issue.
Yes, it's your view. Let it count.
It's a pity it has happened. Yes, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Very clearly.
Oladipo. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, go back to the Muslim issue. Unfortunately, the incident has happened. He did it. But she was able to penetrate jam to get whatever she did. Therefore, I think jam by now is tighten up their security better. They are trying, but I think it is time. It is time.
Oladipo, your phone line is not going through. I do apologize. A bit muffled. Yes, ma'am.
So, let me,
No, he was saying something.
Yeah.
Was saying the fact that Ministry of Agriculture
Yes.
cannot feed
So I
Nigeria.
cannot feed Nigeria.
Yes, tell us why.
The way it works is we focus on Ministry of Agriculture. They are in charge of policy administration. The ones that own the lands and the dams they are the Ministry for Water Resources. So it's a marriage. So every time we focus on the Ministry of Agriculture, they leave the Ministry for Water Resources out. All the tomatoes we eat in the dry season, the rice we eat in Nigeria, is produced by the Ministry for Water Resources under the river basin. How do I know? I've been a river basin farmer for over 18 years across the country. So when you are always hyping the Ministry of Agriculture and you leave the Ministry for Water Resources, they sit down and wait. Because you don't bring them on the table. So you can give them the seeds, give them the fertilizers, the farmers will plant, but the ministry knows that this is the wrong timing to give them, but you've not involved them, so they keep quiet.
for should they?
Why are they?
Yes, they should.
Quiet. Shouldn't they involve themselves?
Exactly. Is it not?
You see, it comes from presidency to say this is a joint task force. Everything we do, we are doing it together.
They have to be told that.
Exactly.
They have to, because there's different policies, different restrictions. So you say handle water. So they say, okay, we'll give you water. But they should be part of the planning. They should be part of the decisions.
Should they just be merged with agriculture?
No.
Or should
they
we
should
take
not.
a department in agriculture that works with water resources?
Some time ago, they merged them together, but they are doing two different things.
Okay.
But we need to understand that, you cannot, amplify husband and leave the wife. Ministry for Water Resources and Ministry of Agriculture is husband and wife.
Okay.
So,
let me take this call from Yakub. Good morning, Yakub. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Mariah.
You're live.
Good morning to everyone. Mariah, I think at this option, you need to give kudos to Professor Oluyede. I'm talking about Mmesoma issue here. But and then I don't have, I'm not surprised, actually, because Professor Oluyede is an alumni of Marcus Arabi here in Agege. He's a student of Sheikh Adam. So, because Professor Oluyede, he has a watertight evidence against that little girl. And then I give him kudos for that. That tells you that we still have a lot of leaders in this country that are upright. And then one of them is Professor Oluyede, and then you should keep it on because I'm waiting for him to even become a minister of education in this country so that he can be able to set us right. And then come to the studio there. Your guest is telling us that in the months coming, we are still going to face it more than now. What we are facing already. Is it what he's telling us? I don't get it. For what we are facing right now, that's still telling us this. Yes.
Thank you, Yakub. So everything you said, Nigerians are hearing you, but what they are hearing really is the part that you're saying food prices will go up. And the reason is because, let Nigerians understand it. Why?
It will go up because prices just increased. If you plant tomatoes, it takes 60 to 90 days. You plant corn, is 90 days. Anything you plant, the earliest okra is 45 days. So if they announced June 29 and price increased, everything they planted in June 29th with May 29th will just be coming out 45 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So all the costs that has increased has not affected the crops that will be coming out.
Right.
The poultry that will be reared, 60 days poultry. So every of these costs is just going in from May 29. So the actual cost will be coming out. So it's inevitable that what we're seeing now will be different from the things that were started May 29.
Sir, is it possible?
Before you ask a question, let me take this call. Come to you. Thanks for calling. Hello.
Hello, Madam Mariah. Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah, I am interested about what your guest is saying about husbandry. In every part of Nigeria, husbandry can be segmented in their own peculiar area.
Yeah.
Like in Adaba, we don't have migrant husbandry people or no pastoralists. No. There are certain people with their animals. What they need is capacity building, dam, water, and capacity to build their own pasture. They have their own land. We need good policies. It's not about government. The gazetted grazing areas can be handed over to private developers. Pack the husbandry people and their animals, not the families. The families should settle around villages, but animals should be settled in grazing areas. So there are certain way of doing things. There is no government that will drive any good policy about agriculture, whether it is crop, whether it is animal, whatever. We need private sector participation. We need to develop a template of private sector developing the grazing areas, whether it is in Benue, whether it's in Adaba, whether it's in Kwara, whether it's in Kano.
Right.
So these are private sectors. These are business.
Thank you very much, Aminu. I think
I did mention earlier that government just needs to let the private sector understand what is available and how it can be accessed. In fact, if you go to FIRO, I bought a big manual there about 12 years ago. FIRO has chronicled everything in every local government. Smedan also did that a few years back. All these things exist.
Wow.
We don't need anything new. We just need to implement these things. Government just needs to really come out leveraging media now to say, this is available, underutilized. A lot of the river basin projects in Southwest is underutilized. The man that just called, I did some projects in Gaya, in Adamawa a few years back. What he said is right. Everybody has something different in each local government. We cannot afford again to say that, oh, we will only pick tomato, corn, cassava, beans, and co. No, there are parastatals of government that have that mandate. We only need an administrator at Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry for Water Resources, who will place a demand on these research institutes and parastatals to deliver the mandate they have. They are earning salaries, they have budgets. Now, so we can't say pineapple. Pineapple is wasting in Edo. Plantain is wasting in Edo. Now, can we process those plantains and pineapples wasting in Edo? It's not government that will do it, but government can package to say, this is available here. We can work with our parastatals to make sure this is sustainable for you. Ekiti has plantain, Oshun has quite a lot. So
what role do you think private sector plays in all of this? Because sometimes people just say that government's job is not a... that was your question.
No,
BC was
okay, go ahead.
Oh, I do apologize. So, I mean, because sometimes people say government has no business in actually doing business. That the value chain must be given to private sector to come in.
Yes.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, so government has no business doing business, but government's main goal is facilitating business.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, even when government says come, many people don't take advantage. Now, the voice is not loud enough, but guess what? Because it takes some time, agriculture takes some time, and there are many vagaries. And in the last 3 years, there's been huge challenges, mostly policy issues. Mostly policy issues. A state will come up with this policy, federal will come up with this policy, and it ruins you. Take, for instance, 2009, I lost 17 million. That was when there was Xenon in Nigeria. Suddenly, they only gave Xenon the opportunity to bring in diesel. Now, so there was no diesel for 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, we had crops on a government facility in Isseyin. And so the corn, 250 acres, dried up. Fortunately, it can be verified, dried up. So after that, we muscled again, raised funding, started again. And Oyo State then now came up with another policy that if you want to buy more than 100 bags of fertilizer, they need to come and inspect your farm. When they inspect your farm, they'll write reports. Based on the report, they now give you approval. The corn was almost matured at that time, after the 17 million. And check policy somersaults since 2020 till date. So we can't be food secure if we're not speaking the same language.
Right.
So that affects people.
I'll come to you, BC, but let me take this call. Good morning. I think Etu. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Morayo. I want to appreciate your program.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Morayo. Well, I also appreciate the gentleman that is talking, but I want to disagree with some of the things that is actually going on in this country. I'm calling you from Niger State. If you remember what happened in Buhari administration, I think Buhari government spent more than $1 trillion in agriculture. But some of this money going to private pockets, Morayo. When you talk about the refund, come to Niger State, we don't see anything that refund and other agricultural sector contribute to this country. And the Buhari administration did very well, but they spent more than $2 trillion subsidizing agriculture and even the water ministry that is talking about. So the policy again, when you come down to state government, people in Niger State, so many things we have learned that we should produce. In fact, we should feed this country. So when my guest is saying that government has no business to do business, government has business to do business. Because, yes, just as what you said, that, some of these are farmers, they should be asking what do they want. But government always gives them a lot of money, and some of this money, Morayo, go into private pocket. I really appreciate your program, Morayo.
Thank you, sir.
Can I
go
ahead.
Say
something?
Okay.
Now, until we face the reality, we will not move forward. The reality is a chunk of the funds, did not get to the farmers. The challenge is when they needed it.
Yeah.
It's not that it did not get to them. A chunk of, let's say, a large percentage went to individuals who suddenly went to set up agric projects without knowledge, but they brought consultants and experts, and many of them have facilities that are not running. They took the money to still run projects, but those projects are moribund now. The farmers who got the funding, many of them got the funding in terms of input and co at the wrong timing. So, and government is to blame for that. And even the private sector that ran into like the anchor borrowers, they didn't know anything about it. They just, okay, I have a collateral, so they went to get, 1,000 farmers, 10,000 farmers. They did not really understand the nitty-gritty. So, government made the fund available. And even, I can tell you, a majority of the farmers sold the farm inputs. I stand to be corrected. I was in Gombe. I was in many of those states. When they were distributing some of these things, across they were selling. So, bottom line is that everybody has a fault. The ones that got it sold, they didn't tell me a story. 5 local governments in Gombe sold in my presence. I can name names. You know, so bottom line is that refund. See, what part of the challenges that President Tinubu's administration needs to do if we're going to be food secure, do away with the associations. Get involved with cooperatives. The associations are heavily politicized. Is it not an association that bought a presidential form for somebody when their farmers are complaining? Do you get? So many of them don't have farms. I stand to be corrected. This is national TV. Let them challenge me. Many of the president associations of most of the associations are doing it part-time, not full-time.
Yeah, but that means that puts food on their table.
Yeah. So they will never protect the sector. But when it is cooperatives that they are working with, cooperative for 20, 30 and co, the right people will apply and get the things. Associations, every initiative is mostly since 1999 is through associations, not cooperatives. That needs to change.
Okay. Anyway, you mentioned the Dundun story, which got interested because I want to believe that if we all have to tighten our belts, make sure that our society is working, eating what we produce, it should also start with government. But the problem which I foresee is, let's take for instance, in the government house, Aso Rock, they say they are no longer eating any Igbo food there. It's dundun, akara, ugi, and all of that. Do we have enough to cater for the needs that we have? Do we have enough? And if we don't have enough, what are some of the steps we need to begin to take so that we know we are producing, this is solution now, we are producing enough for ourselves first before we're even thinking importation and exportation?
Okay, now to produce enough now, it's not primarily about the individual rural, we call them smallholder farmers.
Okay.
There are many people, private sector, who have invested in agric, especially in the last 3 years, that they've lost their resources, either to herdsmen, either to banditry.
Wow.
So those, the president said they will give credit. Those are the people that need most of the credit, because most of those projects are in the rural community. So there can be jobs created. They have facilities. They have infrastructures lying fallow across every state in this country.
Yes,
if you fund those people, you can track, you can monitor, they'll create jobs, and then set it up as like training institute also. Basically, they learn and they spread that. But they should fund the people who have infrastructure
already
that is moribund, instead of trying to start new projects and attach youth to learn. But there's no state in this country that do not have multiple projects. All the jackpot that we've spoken about, we can produce more quality of food. Jackpot means there's more food export opportunities to Nigerians abroad.
Yes.
That's jackpot for me.
Standard.
Do you get so?
So let me come in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take Hassan's call and I'll come to you. Hassan, thanks for calling. You're live.
Hassan.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to your guest, Mr. Mokaji.
Good morning.
Mr. Mokaji, you have to be very, very frank with yourself. You see, everything you listed are already on the ground. If you are talking about irrigation, right from Shagaris beginning,
We have all these dams. We have Ejikeme, we have Kaduna Kanadua, we have Owena, we have Oshun, something
River Basin.
But do you know what? Most of the river basins, we are only utilized in northern Nigeria. In the western Nigeria, they were not utilized. Go to Ishai area. Go to Owena. They are not utilizing them. They are online follows. Secondly, the problem with agriculture is lack of sincerity or purpose. Government put everything in place, but all the programs put in place were cornered by people. The people that are not farmers, the Lagos men, the Abuja men, Port Harcourt men, are the people that even took the chunks of alcohol. So there's no sincerity. And when you are talking of helping the farmer, there is no way government can take itself out from helping the farmer because they need chemicals. And these chemicals are beyond the needs of the common man. Government must subsidize coming. But the problem is this: government must put its foot down to find the monster corrupted in our midst. Good morning.
Good morning, indeed. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have several people that have reached out to me that they want to sell their farms. Yeah. I know two people that, one I met in the UK earlier this year that had a farming project that was collecting a lot of money from him. And so he felt he wasn't running it anymore. And then I know someone in Ekpe that has closed down his poultry business that he cannot sustain. So that idea is a very important one. You spoke about a lot of projects being done in silos, you know, policies also being done in isolation. And I want to, my suggestion was local government should take responsibility, but how do we get them to do that? How do we get local government to get FIRO's reports on every local government, knowing what the local government has to produce and take responsibility for resuscitating, because local government will know the places that closed down. They know the businesses that opened, that brought employment and suddenly closed down, and can easily get in touch with them to bring them back seeking the funds. So how should we engage local government to take responsibility for the growth within the locality?
Let me just add, because I feel that my question is similar to hers, but because you had mentioned cooperatives and associations, and it would be best to work with cooperatives other than association. But cooperatives, are they arranged in such a way that they can get access to these funds, you know, from government, or associations better arranged in such a way that they are able to understand the needs and how to access funds for what the farmers need?
First and foremost, when Nigeria was working, it was the cooperatives, not the association. Oh. There was a system that connected to the cooperatives, not associations. The businesses, the big exporters, went down to work with the cooperatives, not associations.
Okay. Wow.
So we need to retrace our steps to what worked. That worked. And that can work again. The associations, many of them protect their interest. Call any farmer now and find out if they are members of the co-associations, because they are supposed to be lobbyists, but they are not lobbying. A majority of them. They're supposed to lobby government. I say this again. When government was concessioning silos, how many maize associations, how many of those associations went to bid for it? They would have gotten it on a platter of gold, but they also don't understand why they are there, because it's not their primary source of income. Now, the last speaker also spoke about the river basin. I've been a river basin since 1995, river basin farmer. Ofiki, Shekpeteri, Igbojaye, Agwa, all these things he was talking about, so I have operated there. You don't blame government for having facilities that private sector is not taking advantage of. I have a farmer that I took there. He started 5 acres, 30 acres, 100 acres. He's doing 800 acres on government land, and it's still cheap, Southwest. So Southwest has not taken advantage. So government has the infrastructure. It's private sector to take advantage, not government again. You know, so
we have to wrap up, but I mean, this is a really important point you've made so far, and I hope our government is listening. But one thing that struck me from what you said is that we have everything we need.
We have everything.
Everything we need. We don't need any international funding. All we just need right now is implementation of
your
the set
existing
policies
policies.
that is available.
Exactly.
We just need, hopefully, a minister of
Agriculture and water resources.
And security.
Yeah.
Work together.
Yeah, but in terms of core,
multiple, but instead of
yeah,
core,
in terms of
the
core,
agriculture and
is
water
resources
and
and agriculture
work
that
together.
must work together.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It was really a pleasure having you. Always a pleasure having you here.
Yes.
Mr. Mogaji, for joining us. That's all we can take on this Monday. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.